All right, right off the jump, I want to apologize and hopefully you can forgive me, but I'm recording this video while sucking on a cough drop. I've got this cough that I just cannot shake. I've had it for going on 3 weeks now. But regardless of that, the video for today is something I would like to talk about. I don't know. I don't know the order that I'm going to publish some of these videos in, but I've already recorded another one where I'm responding to people in the comments, and I think this is going to be a regular segment for me. I often get criticism from people in the comments saying, why do you even bother doing this? This is beneath you. Why do you talk to these people? What they're referring to is the ferocity that I respond to people in the comments. And I also get, when I post this stuff on Instagram, whatever, people will often say, those people are too stupid to reason with. Don't waste your time on them. Well, my response to those kinds of comments and those kind of concerns is that the whole reason I created my YouTube channels is it's not just to respond to comments, but it's to combat the false narrative that's out there. It's very frustrating. There are an awful lot of very loud people who don't know what they're talking about that project themselves as subject matter experts, even though they have zero training and zero expertise. But since they've seen a couple things on the internet that they don't like, they're very loud and they're bombarding our city councils, our politicians, our police chiefs, our police departments on social media and everywhere, demanding that certain things be handled the way they want them to be handled. And it's ruining our society. It's making our society a more dangerous place. People are literally being murdered because of the damage that's being done to our police departments due to these kind of comments and this kind of activity. It's my opinion, and I will even say it's not necessarily opinion. This is the fact of the matter. Those people are outnumbered in our society by reasonable people that have common sense. The problem is people with common sense are of the belief that, you're not going to change those people's mind. You should just keep your mouth shut. It's not worth your time. That is a failed way to think, if you ask me. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about some comments that I saw on a recent video, and I'm going to address them. So let's start off. This is the video in question. I want to give a little bit of a backdrop to this video. This is on my body camera channel, Columbus Police Body Camera, and you can find it by searching traffic stop leads to drug arrest or drug charges. I said that wrong. I can't even read. Traffic stop leads to drug and gun charges. This is what happens when you try to look at the camera and read out of the corner of your eye. Maybe this is why Joe Biden has such a hard time talking in public. But regardless, you can find the video there if you want to watch it. I would like to say that I'll post it down in the description below, but I'm probably going to forget to do that by the time I post this video. A little bit of backstory to this video and what's going on here. This is the video where police officers on bicycles, the Safe Streets Patrol Initiative, where they put out, 10, 15 guys on bicycles. They go into these high crime areas. They are able to kind of move with a level of fluidity that you cannot do in a cruiser with regular uniform patrol. So these guys on their bicycles can go sit up on, say, a drug house that is known for selling fentanyl that is killing people. It has all these prostitutes coming and going from there that are victims of human trafficking, spreading illness and disease, as well as the people who operate these drug houses, the drug dealers themselves. They are very violent people. They are responsible for basically all of the murder and gang violence that occurs in the city. When you talk about gangs, you're talking about illegal drug sales, you're talking about prostitution, you're talking about human trafficking. So it's important that these guys can have an effect on that kind of crime. So in this particular video, I don't remember if I put it in there, but it started off, a couple of officers were hiding in an abandoned garage, looking through a window, watching the back door of a drug house. They watched this guy in this car pull up to the drug house, walk in, spend a period of time, and then walk back out, get in his car. They initiated a traffic stop. They had officers on both ends of the alley and then on both streets where this car, like every potential egress position for this car to go, they had officers standing by. That takes a large number of officers. You can't just do that with 2 officers. So the vehicle left. They called out a traffic infraction, which was a turn signal violation. They stopped the car. They proceeded to ask him questions. We're going to get a dog to come search his car. The guy tried to run, and when he fled, they tackled him, searched his car, found a firearm, and found narcotics. So this is 100% a piece of proactive police work. This is the kind of stuff that we like to see. They're getting a bad guy who had a previous conviction of felonious assault, which means he had, and with a gun spec, so he had shot somebody when he was a juvenile, had multiple previous arrests involving drug activity, and here he is coming and going from a known house that is selling narcotics with in his possession a firearm and drugs. So when you're talking about taking proactive steps to combat violent crime, this is 100% what we want our police officers doing. Now, the comment that we have, and hopefully this all works because I'm not an no-B.S genius. So here's the comment that I saw on the video I needed to reply to, and I thought this would be a good learning experience to share with you all. So this guy, Crazy MFer 2071, says in his area, in his area probably has to carry a gun to protect himself from gangs, etc. I don't see how having 6 pigs pull him out the car is helping anything. Honestly, it's disgusting to watch. And then you can see my reply back. He's literally a drug dealer. He's been convicted of shooting people in the past. He's leaving a drug house, was carrying a gun at the time of his arrest. And he replied, I'll get to his reply here in a moment. But here's the problem. You've got dumbasses like this guy who calls himself a crazy MFer. He's probably just a bitch who lives in his parents' basement. And he's out here commenting on what it is that the police are doing, telling them that they're doing it wrong. And he's saying that this guy probably has to carry a gun because of gang violence in his neighborhood. Well, dumbass, you are 100% right. The reason there's gang violence in this neighborhood is because of the guy, I can show you the picture again, the guy right here who's selling guns, running prostitutes, or selling drugs, running prostitutes, carrying guns around, and enforcing his territory with said firearm. The guy in this video who has shot somebody in the past is the gang violence that people need to be protected from. The officers stopping him are doing exactly what we ask officers to do, is prevent violent crime. This is a comment that I see frequently from people that don't know a goddamn thing about police work, but they're not afraid to open their mouths, is that they say police don't prevent crime, they just respond to crime. Well, in the video that you just saw where they stopped a guy with drugs and a gun, they just prevented a crime. Potentially they prevented a crime. Now it's up to the courts to do their job. And unfortunately, the courts don't do their job. And that's one of the reasons that violence is so high in our cities. But then I was amazed the fact that he doubled down on this. He said, no matter the circumstances, 10 white dudes doing this to a black man is just a bad look. So I already went through it a little bit to show why there were so many officers on scene. They were watching a suspect committing a criminal act. They were surveilling an area. It takes a lot of officers to conduct surveillance. Once they had the vehicle stopped, all of the officers converged on this location. It's not like they could go out and set up surveillance on another spot, because they still had this guy here taking up at least, I would say at a minimum, when you're on bicycles, there's nothing wrong with having 4 officers on a stop just for safety alone. As it turned out, the guy was armed, did try to run, and thankfully there was a lot of officers on scene that were able to help that. One of the other great, mischaracterizations of what happens in these cases, because he's like, it doesn't look good having 10 white dudes standing around. First of all, they weren't all white dudes. The guy in this picture holding the gun is not a white dude, but that doesn't matter to me, and it shouldn't matter to anybody else. You're a moron if you bring that up. But the fact that he did run and that they had to take him down to the ground, the fact that there were 10 officers on scene, or I don't know if it was 10 or not, but he's using that number. What that means is that the officers are less likely to have a dramatic use of force, or they're less likely to have excessive uses of force when you have more officers involved, because you can have 2 guys on each of his legs, 2 guys on each of his arms, 1 guy on his head, and then somebody that's kind of directing everybody around to help him put his hands behind his back, whatever. If this is a situation where there was only 1 officer or 2 officers on scene, and this guy tried to run, went to the ground, tried to get up, and was fighting with the officers, there's a much higher degree of likelihood that there would have been a significant use of force against this man. Because I can tell you that if I'm trying to arrest you and it's just me and you, and we go to the ground and you try to get up and, the fight is on, I'm going to start using everything in my disposal to take you under arrest, particularly if I believe that you have a firearm and they had good reason to believe that he had a firearm. I'm going to start dropping bombs. I'm going to start dropping elbows, knees. I'm going to mash your face into the pavement. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to do everything I can to significantly hurt you to make you give up that fight. When there's 10 officers on scene, that's not necessary. So this stuff about complaining that there's too many officers on scene to arrest 1 guy is garbage. It needs to stop. The other part of it is he's saying that he cares more about the optics of the situation than he does about the actual crime. No matter the circumstances, 10 white dudes standing around a black man is not a good look. So if this guy was going about his day, possibly going out to commit an act of violence, that circumstance doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you had 10 white dudes standing around this guy. I don't know. Show you the gun again. This is what we were talking about. It boggles my mind that people like this guy exist. Not only do they exist, but they have a voice. They have a very loud voice. And these are the people who are in the ear of our public officials. These are the people who are right now putting forth initiatives that are actually changing public policy. They're changing the way police work is done. The other consequence of this is that violent crime across the country has been skyrocketing. That's no surprise to anybody. We've talked about it before. In the city where I live, from, 2000 to 2017, the average annual number of homicides per year was 100 or less than 100. Since 2020, it's been over 200 per year. It's no coincidence. The people that have voices like Crazy MFer 2071 are the people that are ruining our country. And when people say that I need to just ignore them, that they're too stupid for words, that there's no point in trying to communicate with them because they'll never understand, they'll never change their mind. Well, my argument with you is, if these people are being loud, then people like us that have common sense, we need to be louder. We need more people that have common sense, that don't believe the way this guy believes, to get out there and make their voices heard. And you need to vote for the people that are going to put the policies in place that you know in your heart need to be in place to make our society more safe. Those are going to be my thoughts for today. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon.